it's amazing to me that I'm sitting here thinking about this. I was going to make a video on it anyway. Some of the things that I'm reading here and my friends post in his comments, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind me reading them, and I give credit, not that even any of us really care about the credit, but my friend Randy Drum, and I respect his wisdom and knowledge and the writings and such. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about this, and I talked about it in my last video that I did the other day out at Logap Park, because the flat earth, how to even start to word this, because breaking the spell, this flat earth knowledge is kind of like a hacking into the mainframe. It's like when Neo connected to the big, went through the machine world and connected himself up to the master mainframe or whatever it was. Just that example. But it's flat Earth is like the foundation, right? It's the Earth that we all stand upon. Everything that we know here is built upon this foundation. So when you hack into this core programming and you realize that we've been lied to on this topic, and because what could be more epic and more, because I hear the question a lot, and there is a point to it, that how does that affect me? How does this knowledge affect my daily life, my struggle for survival that we got, not me so much, but my friends that got a house and kids to feed, and they got to go to work and make money so we can friggin' provide their survival. How does the knowledge of flat Earth affect that? Well, it's not as easy as that, and actually it may affect our whole paradigm negatively in a way, because it breaks down the core programming. It like undermines the entire premises of science, of modern science. This geocentric versus heliocentric model has been an argument for hundreds of years, and it's they have built up these so-called men of science like Copernicus, and some of their theories obviously have validity. I'm referring to Newton, particularly when I say that, because there's laws of physics, buoyancy and density, and you attribute it to gravity, which is kind of a abstract term, their magic card that they can pull and say, oh, how does water stick to a spinning ball and curve around a spinning ball? Well, it's gravity, of course. So anyway, what I'm getting at in this video is about the fact that flat Earth is a hacking into the core operating system. Okay, this to transcend this indoctrination that we've gotten from birth, to step back from this emotional reaction that I had and many people have online. I see comments of violence all the time. People calling it out like it's all bullshit, but it's there are elements of incorrect things about the flat Earth topic. So you have to dig to really find truth. You have to kind of like still keep your red flags and your salt handy to not believe everything about this, because it has definitely been co-opted and psy-opted by the powers that be, because they want to keep the joke going. So they got the Flat Earth Society to keep the this whole perception of this, limited disc that's tilting and the water's falling off the edge, or the boats are going over the edge of the thing. This whole concept that there's some edge that we've got to fall off of, or it's limited. So anyway, there's a very real controlled opposition. What I want to talk, I wanted to read just some of these comments and comment myself about how coming to this realization, and this is way beyond like a belief system to me. I've been in a couple of cults. I've been in a religious belief system. I was raised Christian. I was in this home church group when I was in my early 20s, and after about 3 or 4 years, I realized it was kind of a cultish sort of thing, and a little fanatical, whatever. I didn't diss it and be like, I'm going to hate on it and get away. I just realized that, hey, that's, I learned what I needed to learn. I'm going to move on now and, to experience other things. And I still appreciate that time that I had. We studied the Bible, and it was a Seventh-day Adventist group, so it was into vegetarianism and writings of Ellen G. White. Fascinating stuff. I mean, there's a lot of truthful information there, wisdom to be gained. But anyway, off on a tangent. Flat Earth is kind of like this transcending knowledge, a piece of knowledge, or at least an understanding that we're not on a limited, or who knows what the edge. This is not about Earth edge theory. This is talking about the fact that water is level. From my perception here, standing at this point, and you are standing at your point of you look out around you and your circumference that is around your body. You are the center of your perception. You look around and you see flattish plane of obviously, except for the trees and mountains and elevations. Okay, elevations are always measured by air pressure, altitude. That's how you measure altitude. The base of reference for altitude is sea level. The air pressure at sea level, 14.6 psi, pounds per square inch. If you can imagine for a second how much pressure that is. As you rise in elevation, the air pressure goes down, and this is how they measure what elevation you are above sea level, is by how much the pressure where you're at measures. That's what an altimeter is. It's a barometric meter, a barometer basically. It measures air pressure. So to go off on different tangents about the theory, the flat edge theory. It's not the edge theory. There's possibly, although I haven't been there myself, but there's this information about there that there's like this big ice wall around. I mean, is that for real? Who knows exactly? Not many have been. There are some videos. It's kind of like, I got a little pinch of salt here. I'm gonna tuck on it because I don't know. You don't know for sure. I'm here in Northern California. I've never been to, too much further south than Costa Rica, so I don't know. I get off on too many tangents. I'm really trying to read some of this comments because the truth can be concealed for only so long, or until the youth find her. Flat Earth is the cornerstone of every lie we were indoctrinated with to believe in every nation. The next generation are increasingly aware that the globe deceit they are administered by state-controlled schools is BS. As long as they do see, there is hope for our species presently hypnotized by a globalist culture. Your mother is on the level, but your owners are not. And that term, that phrase, on the level, means honest and true. If you look it up in the dictionary, that's what that phrase means. On the level. I mean, you're on the truth, on the, honest and truthful. Just some flat earth graffiti pictures there. Reveal names of people that may not want them to be. I'll just read the comment here. I'm not sure following exactly what the flat earth is about. And I responded in comment, hacking the mainframe. Once you break down the spinning space balls of perception deception, you begin to break down the very structure of lies on this plane of experience. And you usually get the, few or many probably that think it, but there's a few that actually comment about, it's all just a distraction hoax. It's a psyop. Throw it out. We don't even want to listen. Can't even hear it. Everything's a conspiracy. We got all this poison and this and this murder and war and government conspiracy, this and that, and 9/11. Everything's a conspiracy, but except when it comes to NASA. Oh, it's a psyop. It's not, NASA's real, telling us that, giving us all this cartoons and CGI. So Randy Drum's response to distraction hoax is, if there is something bigger than an infinite world beyond the lies we have embraced from children, I am all ears. From what do you think this truth could seek to distract humanity from that is of more importance? If this truth is simply a distraction from a more important truth, please share what you speak of. If we look at the verifiable facts concerning the mass suggestion of a sphere Earth apart from conjecture by NASA, we will find all the proof we need to see that we do not live on a spinning ball flying through space. The entire globalist control matrix is built on this one deception that defies logic and common sense by design of those who created this myth to bury human consciousness in a spell of global proportions. If we will believe this colossal lie of a sphere Earth, we are ready to be controlled by everything else these agencies can present to us as truth. Until we learn how to question what we are told to believe, we will continue to be led by our nose. It's spelled K-N-O-W-S, but it's in quotes, by our nose. You're led by your nose. After unknown ages of chasing the sun through space, humanity is expected to believe that stars could remain in their place all this time. There's no stellar parallax. The North Star is in the same place it was thousands of years ago. Now they claim that these things move position, but put a big pinch of salt on that one. It would appear we are expected to be that stupid. I hope we disappoint those who keep us spun by pseudo-knowledge. Randy Drums. Okay, so this same guy is commenting again. He's making another FE equals BS. And it's typically what people come at this with is just ad hominem or short little blurps. They don't actually come at this with intelligence. The flat earth stuff is being presented with intelligence, and here's the details, and there's our ideas about this and how this might work, and there's thousands of videos, millions, literally, of posts on YouTube about it now. It's becoming a huge thing. There's intelligent people all over the plane that are discussing this with intelligence. And when somebody comes along and just makes these ad hominem attacks, it's like, I just laugh. I'm like, there's like these blinders over their eyes. They didn't even realize what's what's the deal? I just don't understand. If there's all this proof that the globe is real, it should be very easy to prove. Yet we have a list there's this websites, Are You Smarter Than That? And then there's the Pop Sci articles. It's the same 10 items they list. They list the Eratosthenes theory and the perception or perspective, Eratosthenes sticks, where he measured the shadow at 2 different points on the plane, north and south from each other. One in Egypt, I think the other is in Alexandria, or I can't remember the city, but anyway, so he went south and measured the shadow of the sticks, and determined, well, the shadow is different on this stick that's up farther north than this one's more straight, because the sun is going on the equator, right? If the sun was 93 million miles away, it would be the same exact angle. This Eratosthenes theory, it really kind of backs up the flat Earth theory, but it could almost apply to both theories, is where I'm getting at this, because Eratosthenes didn't really prove anything. He just showed that the shadow at one point is this way and the shadow is that point, so they assumed that it's a spinning ball, but that could very well apply to the flat Earth model. And if you're assuming that the sun is 93 million miles away, how does that even make sense on your heliocentric model? Because, way out here, 93 million miles, and you got this little tiny speck of dust out here that's sun is 1,000,000 times larger than this Earth. How is the light rays on this speck of dust bending any which way, or how are these sticks causing a shadow of different proportions anywhere on this spinning ball Earth? It just doesn't even make sense under their own theory. The globe spinning ball. It's just. And then, okay, so to move on with the list, there's 10 of them, 10 things, and at least 5 or 6 of them are totally debunked if you only understand perspective. If you know how these eyes work and you know how you see things, as things move away, they get smaller and smaller until they disappear into the, beyond your horizon line, beyond your point of convergence, beyond that line of which you can, which things fade. It's like the railroad tracks, they fade into the distance or whatever. So okay, so perspective, understanding perspective, you can debunk at least half of that list of 10. They only give you like 10. And then they talk about this eclipses, I think, is one of their points in there about the moon and eclipses. Well, this again doesn't make sense on a spinning ball, how they model it, that the sun is supposedly reflecting off the moon. The moon is a space rock. It's a sphere rock that reflects this light from the sun, 93 million miles. This just is bonkers. It doesn't make sense at all on the heliocentric model. On their globe model, it doesn't make sense. How do you rectify these things? Gravity. The great G, the big G. That's it, the magic G. That's how it all works. Okay, and so the the last, and they say the most important, the most easiest to make, the most indefinite, they have these different words, undeniable, irrefutable, unquestionable, that the Earth's not flat. At the first of it, I'm talking about this article, this 10-point article. So the number one proof that the Earth is a spinning ball is photos from space of the Earth. The blue marble. The creator of the blue marble on NASA's website, Robert, whatever his last name right now, I can't think. But the creator of the blue marble, there's even a YouTube video with his voice and another lady talking about how they created the blue marble. It's photoshopped because it has to be. It's a composite image because it has to be. They haven't actually gone a million miles up to take a photograph of the Earth. Furthermore, we have Neil deGrasse Tyson and other actors, so-called scientists, such as Bill Nye the Science Guy. He's just a Disney-paid actor. He has no background in science whatsoever. So anyway, Neil deGrasse Tyson saying how it's bulged in the middle and it's wider at the bottom, so it's more like a pear. It's an oblate spheroid space pear. So we have an oblate spheroid space pear, yet they show us a perfect circle sphere. We assume that it's a sphere, but it's this perfect circle, the blue marble. Oh my goodness. The levels of deception are just unbelievable. How anybody, and comments like this that people just ad hominem attacks, they have not questioned this theory. They have not even looked at the bit of research. They saw a few little things that confirmed their bias of saying, it's a psyop or it's BS, and it's just this amount of, let's not even talk about it because it's not worth it. It doesn't make any difference in our lives. Where's the edge, whatever. So they they ignore it. They're in ignorance. It's much easier that way anyway. And I can understand to take them the easy way, to ignore something so you don't have to deal with it. So no fault to these people. It's just that I'm making comment to that. There was a couple of comments I really wanted to read on this thread because he got a response. Somebody said, I can see the curvature through an aircraft window. Through a curved aircraft window, you can see curvature. Well, your perception of curvature is not real, actual, literal curvature. It's the perception as the light is bending through the convex curve of the window that you're looking through. I guess we all see what we want to see when all is said and done. I have been in many aircraft and never seen any such apparition, nor have the countless photos taken by spy planes for this nation. The simple proverb of as above, so below negates all the NASA sorcery one could consume. If this truth is true, we could not possibly live on a spinning ball chasing the sun through the heavens. After considering flat Earth for over a year, it is apparent that it is the source of all the power held over humanity by the Vatican murderers who own most people's perspectives captive by this sorcery from NASA, their own project. NASA is a Vatican project. It's a propaganda machine. What we perceive is hindered by what we think so much more than we know. Wow. So, another question or comment. This theory doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't include the other planets and sacred geometry and the way things are formed. It basically says we are a petri dish separated from everything else, and the facts for and against it are basically equal. It's all subjective. I can understand some of that. It's like, you know, referring to the thought that we're surrounded by the ice wall and, you know, we're in this little petri dish. There's also the possibility of an infinite plane, and there's other little petri dishes. You know, that is kind of subjective and speculative as far as the boundaries or the, you know, the extent of the realm of, you know, of whatever this is. But the basics of it are is that water, when you take a water puddle this big or bigger, it's flat. The top is flat. The sides have a meniscus where the surface tension is contacting the surface of its container. There's sort of a bend and curve, but the rest of the top of it is flat. And it, you know, embedded bodies of water, it's flat and level according to the level of the dam that's holding it, or the container. So we just keep it basic and simple, and, you know, until we can actually explore Antarctica without military, you know, armaments coming up against us and telling us to turn around, and, you know, they want to inspect when you come through and back out of New Zealand from Antarctica, they're going to fully search you and they want to inspect all photo and video evidence that you may have. And, you know, you only get to go to the certain destinations. So, and it's, I think, similar to the North Pole. I don't know how many people have actually been up there that are not Freemasonic puppets that, you know, are just putting on a show. So there's a lot of unknowns to the flat Earth idea. I mean, this is a brand new kind of movement. It's like realizing that, you know, we're just barely breaking down the lies that we're being told about the globe. The spinning space ball is obviously not real. So what is it? Like, you know, why does NASA have to lie so much? And every other space organization, every one of them with the V vector symbol, look that up on ODD TV, the vector symbology, Chevron, all the space agencies across the board have this vector symbology and many corporate logos. So, I know, so many different layers to this. That's why it's difficult for a lot of people, I think, because there are so many layers upon layers within layers and wheels within wheels, and just so many foundational things that are being just torn to shreds and down, you know, broken down because of this. That's why it's so huge and just captivating to me, at least. I've just like, so for about 2.5 years now or so, I've been looking at this. I'm gonna finish this up, and I'm already at 30 minutes. Comment more from Randy. What if everything you know about our world was intentionally upside down and wrong side out? Consider the fact that all of our academic sources have been tampered with and skewed by those who keep humanity under control. If as above, so below is truth, then why would our world only be a speck amidst the heavens? NASA is what most people embrace as truth. when everything they have asserted can be challenged and debunked by high school level kids. The earth is on the level, but the academic sorcery most of us learned in school is not. Until we can look at flat earth without clouding our own judgment with NASA CGIs and composites, we will remain self-deceived. I challenge all to look at flat earth without their NASA's goggles on and dare to perceive what you have been blinded to by the aforementioned. Water does not lie. Be like water, my friend. On the level. Honest and truthful. Water does not lie, and it will always keep us true if we let it keep us level-headed. It has been my experience that most who embrace sacred geometry know very little about the math. I hear many citing physics too, but when we look at what physics hangs on, we realize it too is skewed beyond imagination. Everything is connected except our world. Hard to believe that we have been so duped by our own need to possess knowledge. And I don't particularly know enough about sacred geometry to make comment on that, how it relates, but I see correlation there, because there are spherical shapes and drops of water, but that doesn't apply to the mass whole of, bodies of water. That applies to a small drop. There's, the flower of life is made up of the circle. The cell is kind of this, a bubble of, there's, and physics has gotten so lost in equation after equation of math, it makes no logical sense. And that's a kind of a quote, paraphrase from Tesla. So let me make this clear. If you have some valid point to make about flat Earth, apart from parroting NASA nonsense, make it. All comments that reflect the fear associated with the cognitive dissonance this topic causes among most will be removed. Just a heads up, and if that is not okay with you, don't post childish drivel to my post. Flat Earth is not a joke, and may be the most relevant truth I have discovered in my entire life. Here's a man that's like 60 years old. So back the F up if your intentions are to be NASA cheerleaders or otherwise trying to discredit this post. I await your decisions. I hope most of you know me well enough to receive my words as solid and proceed accordingly. So here's an intelligent man that's seeking intelligent debate, or like comments that are on the level, that are coming from a heart space of just trying to understand, are just fine and desired and accept, let's have a conversation about this. But if you want to just call me an idiot or a moronic retard and you dumb caveman, how dare you think the earth is flat? That's just ad hominem garbage. That doesn't add any construction to the conversation whatsoever. It's just a distracting, egotistical, emotional reaction. It is your programming revolting and being deleted, is basically how I've seen it. You're either fighting your program being, it's your antivirus activating, and you're fighting the new information coming in, so you're having this emotional reaction, and it's a revolting energy, and you get all emotional and violent toward the messenger who dares speak this message that's causing this this reaction. And so that is a big red flag to me, that you either have nothing in as far as proof and confidence that what you're doing is, or whatever, you're trying to defend your position, you might say, use those terms. you're, by using this ad hominem attacking emotionally, you're basically stating that uh, you have no, facts to stand on. At any rate, that's another 30-minute video. I'm just feeling good today. Pisces is happening, and Pisces has always been an amazing time for me. So, yeah, aloha, much love.